Hey guys, it looks like we are live. I don't know how I did it, but this was crazy. Thanks for hanging out. So you guys waited 19 minutes and I am totally honored that that happened. Can I get a hello that you guys can see me? I really hope that you guys can see me. I don't think the chat's going to be working, the chat window, but can you guys see me yet? Okay, great. Can you hear me? I hope you can hear me. Let's see. I think you guys can hear me. Okay, great. Oh, 5 colors from the illustration line. Perfect. Yeah, the illustration line. Hey, how's it going? Wow, so XSplit, which is my software, is down with YouTube. I actually had to do this hack in the system where I had to do stream keys. It was crazy. It was crazy. Joe, good to see you, everybody. Thank you so much for hanging out and coming to see me, even though it was like a blank screen. But Mr. Wonderful is here, Kevin O'Leary. Okay, so I want to show you guys. I wanted to show you my pumpkin bread. Hey, Patrick, how you doing? Chris, what's going on? It's over. I ate the pumpkin bread. I was going to show you, but I ate it trying to fix this. But I do have pumpkin spice coffee, so it's kind of a pumpkin spice kind of day. But we are here. You guys are here, and I am so excited. You know, my peeps. And so thank you so much. We're going to load our airbrush today, the Badger Extreme Patriot Arrow Modified, which is available on my website. I will modify that for you, and I will test it out, and it will be amazing. So if you're interested, just go to paintinglyphs.com. The link's in the description, and that would be really great to make one of them for you or build one of them for you. Monty, how you doing? Thank you so much for coming by. I did eat it, Wendy. I ate the whole thing. Wendy, how are you feeling? Wendy was under the weather. Hopefully she's feeling better, you know. And Brad, good to see you. Oh yeah, thank you, sir. I love that airbrush. It's the best ever. Oh, you have pumpkin bread in the freezer. That is so cool. Oh, fantastic. So what I'm going to do is I am going to go ahead with Pure Ref, and I'm going to bring up Kevin O'Leary, Mr. Wonderful. Sorry about the chat window today, but it does have an effect with what's going on with XSplit. So, yes, me too. I hope your sense of smell and everything. So, Monty, good to see you. Chris, Joe, how you doing? I'm so glad you're here. Joe's a first timer, I believe. I think you were here once before, right, Joe? Were you? At any rate, I'm so glad you're here. Raul, so glad you're here. And let's see who else is here. John, how you doing? I hope you're still here. Willie, of course. Steve, Mr. Leahy, John Payne, thank you so much. And so I think I got everybody. If I missed you, just go ahead and give. Oh, Joe is a first timer, so that's so great. Okay, so at this stage, what I like to do is I like to kind of start with the eyes and move down. And so remember, before, because this is the first time I'm using this airbrush today, is, let's see. There we go. So I'm testing it off on a scrap piece of paper and making sure that everything's okay. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to really start. What I do here with the light mixture is I start to make things turn and make them round, you know? Because remember, you always want to you always want to remember that the light, where the light is coming from. And that's going to be basically the theme of the whole painting, is where the light is coming from. So with this painting, the light is coming from the upper right. So everything on the lower left is going to be much darker. And I'm going to take my glasses off for this. And so what we're going to do, now I have the light mixture in here. And what I'm going to do is just start to make things turn. And that's the important thing. Always feel free to ask any questions you have. There are no bad questions, guys. I am definitely here to answer them. And that's so important for me, you know, to answer your questions. And let's see. So glad Chris is here. And so great. So I'll even go ahead and blow this up for you guys in this area that I'm working in. So as you can see, what I want to do is basically get the structure of his eye here. See, it comes up here. And what you want to do is you want to follow landmarks, right? Always think of landmarks. And just continue. Make sure that the shapes are correct, okay? You know, like this shape right in here. Make sure that's correct. Very important. Oh, the PSI, good question. The PSI is at 25 PSI. And really the PSI is kind of inconsequential because I have a MAC valve here and then I have the PAC valve here. I put it at 25 because I never want to go over 25. So I'm always adjusting on the airbrush, so that's very important. But you never really ever want, when working with inks, Joe, you never want to go over 25. And it just is overkill and you're going to get some wicked spidering. So you definitely don't want to do that. Great question, sir. So the whole thing with these inks is all about subtlety, right? All about subtlety and just building slowly, right? And Steve says, was thinking about a briefcase with some portrait. Oh, very cool. Very neat. Brad is a master of wood. Just unbelievable. He can do incredible things. I'm not going to be doing too much of the freehand shields just yet, but I will soon. And so with that being said, let's see if we can locate really the only freehand shield I use 99% of the time. I don't use stencils except, you know, the paper cutouts. Not that there's anything wrong with that, it's just not my thing. Now, what's really cool is that, let me get my glove on. So you want to get used to the gloves. Okay, so Tim, you might ask, Tim, why do you wear the gloves? And it's not because my hands are cold, at least not today. Well, I do like wearing the gloves because I don't want to have the oils from my hand and today from the pumpkin bread getting onto the surface. So if you want to maintain a pristine surface, you're definitely going to make sure you have your gloves. And then we have this over here. Now the gloves and this aggressive eraser are both available on my website. And this is just really beautiful. It really works quite well. And it's like magic on this paper. These are vintage and you can't buy them in stores anymore. They don't manufacture them, but I do have some, a limited supply. So if you're interested, I have them for you. And like I said, there's no rush, right? You want to build things up slowly. Rather than go over to this side, I think it would be prudent at this juncture to go on over to the other side. Because remember, whatever we do here, we have to do over there, guys. So let's go ahead and make that happen. We'll go over to this eye. The eyes have it. That's what they say. And let's see what else. And Steve says, Tim, I love how the image just looks like it fades in like a Polaroid. Oh, cool. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Yeah, I do. I do love that, you know, Steve, the way that this technique, right? It just sort of, we build it up ever so slowly. And Steve does some amazing work with this technique. And I'll tell you, it's just an honor that he's using this technique. And I do love the fact that it really keeps us from getting lost. And especially you guys out there and girls who are just beginning, you know, there's a lot going against you. There's the medium, and then there's clogging and tip dry and, you know, all that, going too dark too early. And this just solves the problem for you guys. So that's why I highly recommend these India inks. It'll make your life a lot easier, and then you're just going to worry about enjoying airbrush. And isn't that what it's all about? Really just enjoying the airbrush, guys. You know, so many people have come to me and said, I just want to sell my airbrush. And I'm like, whoa, let's just talk about this for a moment. And I tell them about the India inks, and all of a sudden they're back, and that's really fantastic. So that's really important. So, you know, it's a labor of love, but it makes me so glad that when people discover that it's not them, it's the fact of trying to shoot acrylic paint, which is thick, especially colored acrylic paint, which is thick, trying to go through this airbrush, and it's just not made for it. But you know what? These inks are perfect. It's a perfect marriage of liquid and the air and that little canal and everything like that. You know, I do have something down the pipe going. It's funny you should say that. I should have that ready pretty soon, but I don't want to rush it, because you know why? It took me, before I started selling these inks, I was perfecting them for about 3 years. And same thing here. I have a new color coming, but I have to perfect it. I don't want to give anyone a bad product, you know? And that would be horrible. So you see how I'm turning the forms right now. That's all I'm worried about, is turning the forms. And it's very light, it's super light. Like, Tim, did you do anything here? I actually did, but it's going to take time for it really to manifest itself. Like right here, it's just slightly darker at, believe it or not, at the ridge of his lower eyelid. It's just slightly darker, and then it's lighter over here. And then this comes over here, and this over there like that. And then we'll zoom out. And you see, little by little, we're getting there. There's no rush, you know. There's going to be a part 7, a part 8. I think the most that we ever had was a part 7. Am I right, guys? Just going to calm down that line there. And oh, thank you. I appreciate that, sir. Thank you, Brad. That's so cool of you. Oh, wow. Thank you so much. That's a great compliment there, Brad. And I appreciate that. So, Monty, definitely. So, Patience is everything, and there's no, it's no, it's no mistake that it's a virtue, you know, Monty, and we have to make sure that we keep that going, you know. And here I'm going to darken this side plane. So what we're doing now is we're working on this darkest dark right over here on the nose. The nose is a separate object. So the nose is a separate object that's on top of the larger object, which is his head. So with that being said, we have the rules of the larger, and now we have this nose which sits on top of that head. So on top of the, you know, the oval of his head, which is like, you know, like the moon, you know, it's like, it's, so think of the nose like a mountain on the moon, if that makes sense. And we're just going to pull this over, and now we're going to do that transition tone, right? So here we are working on the dark, and then we have that lighter transition tone that comes over here, and that's how we make it turn. Now remember, things turn this way and they turn this way. The light's coming from the upper right, so anything below, because it's coming from above, is also going to have a shadow. So that's where this is happening, guys. And then there's a strong cast shadow going on right here. So these are things that I want you to really understand. You know, a cast shadow and a form shadow are two different things, and it's really important that we go ahead and identify. So you see this underneath the nose? That's casting a shadow onto the upper part of his mouth, or the cylinder of the teeth, this area right here. His upper, you know, higher than, I guess it's past the upper lip, this area right here, guys. I have to get the terminology down. I know, I'm working on that. That's note to self, get the terminology. I keep asking about that area. To myself, that is. So you see how I'm just building up that cast shadow right here, because it's coming from, light coming from above and to the left, so it's going to cast below and to the right, correct? So I'm not just reproducing shadows, I'm not just reproducing values. Basically what I'm doing is being almost like a light detective, right? A detective of the light, trying to figure out, okay, the scene of the crime, what happened at the light, what happened with the light when this person took a photograph of this gentleman. So that's what we're really trying to figure out. So the light is up here, we do see that. And so you see we have a cast shadow over here, and then we have this cast shadow going over here. Now I want to blend this out, right? So if I want to blend it out, how do you do that? Do you pull back less on the trigger? No, you pump the trigger, keep the air down, but as you move down, if you want a gradation, you just slowly increase your distance as you go in the direction of that shadow. Let the airbrush do the hard work. Don't you guys do it, and girls do it, okay? So that's very important, and so keep that in mind. I haven't heard from my guest. Yes, I hope he's doing well. Same thing over here. Cast shadow of the nose. Remember, the cast shadow is going to come down in this direction. See how it's going in this direction? So the nose is actually casting the shadow in that direction as well. So always watch it makes sense. When you see the cast shadow and what direction the light is in, it will just make sense. And that's what you want. We want it to make sense. There's a darker transition tone right here. And it comes up just like that. And then we have a nice mid-tone as the nose turns towards the light, right? Same thing here. It's going to turn up towards the light here. And we're just going to sculpt. With the light mixture, you're almost like sculptors, right? Think of yourselves as sculptors. Just like that, and we'll shape that. And shape his nose from there. It's a slow process, it really is. But it's a slow process that's worth it. You notice I'm not really worried about whether or not it looks like him yet. He's going to reveal itself, you know? And that's what we want to do. So he'll reveal itself, so let's let him reveal himself, and we just worry about what we have to worry about, and that's being that light detective. We're painting the light, not the likeness. His likeness will come on its own. But we have to do our job first. So right here, when we look at the eye, we have some really interesting the way the light comes down. And let's go ahead and explore that together. So what we'll do is we'll zoom in here. Now I don't want to stay too long here because we definitely do not want to ignore one area and work too much in another area. Okay, so let's continue that. And always keep yourself in the game. The 1 second rule, that is key. So key, guys. That 1 second rule is really important. And you see how sort of the fold of the eyelid extends down and then sort of intersects, not totally, but with the side plane of his head. Now remember, the light is coming from this direction, right? So anything that is at the lower right side of this of Mr. Wonderful's head here is going to be in shadow. Anything facing the upper right is going to be in light. Another thing I talk about, and it's something I'm really just discovering on a very deep level, is looking for the grain of the skin. And it is there, but that's something that's going to come when it's ready to come. You can't force it, but I want you to always look for the grain of the skin. You know, Beethoven said, if you go into whatever you're doing, you know, into the arts, if you go into your craft, she will eventually reveal her secrets to you. And I really feel that's true. The more you do the airbrush, the more she'll reveal her secrets to you. And not only the airbrush, but portrait painting as a whole, you know? Yes, I am. I actually, what I'm doing now, if you do want this airbrush, what I'll do, and which is really fantastic, and I have the blessings of Ken, which is wonderful, is that I will customize this for you. I will test it and ship it out and do everything that I do for my own airbrush. So Willie, if you ever are interested, it will be exactly to the T, to the everything, to that little screw there, to the handle, the trigger, everything. So it's pretty cool. But the thing is, what I really love is that I will test it out for you. Even send you a little video of your airbrush before I ship it out, and show you how well it works and how well it looks. So I think that's pretty exciting. And so if you're interested, you just let me know, guys. Definitely, Willie, let me know. And I wouldn't go that far, but definitely wouldn't go that far, my friend. Badger, one of the things I love about Badger is their great prices. And so, and I always direct you guys to USAAirBrushSupply.com for this guy, which is my favorite background airbrush, is the Vega. Just, if you don't have it, that's the one to get. Yes, Willie, what I'll do is I'll send you an email. I'm going to put it on my website this week, but I'll send you an email. That would be great. Oh, wow, that would be great. That would be fantastic. Yeah, so that's going to be a lot of fun and just a great service to you guys to, just have an airbrush that's tuned and customized and so exciting, Sort of like a Timothy John Luke Smith limited edition. And so, okay, so let's zoom in here. So that's pretty neat. Oh, well, Joe's been good all year. That's exciting. That's good. Well, with COVID-19, how could we be anything else, right, Joe? Kind of limited into our gallivanting. And so, let me see if I can increase the contrast for you guys. He's looking kind of washed out, but we can work on this together. How's that? A little better? I think so. Okay, perfect. All right, so we got a little more contrast here. So what we want to do is we want to turn the forms this way. So right now we're kind of working at his head as a whole, right? Like if this was a ball in space and the light's coming from the upper right, that's what we're kind of doing right now. We're kind of trying to make his head as a whole turn, and that's important. Oh, I will definitely. Perfect, Chris. I appreciate that. Thanks, guys. Thank you so much. So right now you see how that his head is turning, and so we're going to do that. And what I'll do is I'll crawl along the surface with my freehand shield, my lone freehand shield. And remember, perpendicular and not parallel, guys, right? Just like that. Definitely got to do that perpendicular and not parallel. Very important. And I might not get that. Let me get my glasses. Maybe that will help the situation. Let's see. Oh, the nozzle size of the airbrush is like a 0.30, but I do modify it. The nozzle is a 0.30, but what I do is I modify the needle so it comes out further, and it's really amazing. So that's what really makes this airbrush really sing, Joe. It really is. Oh. Yes, I'm so glad you're in the mentorship program, Brad. That is amazing. Brad just finished this amazing painting in my mentorship program. Just amazing. If you haven't seen it, check it out. And so we're going to just move this over. No rush. Remember, with the light mixture, it's not gonna really work immediately. What I'm going to do is I'm going to extend this dark all the way down. And is a hard edge, but I'm actually going to really establish that edge fully when I go in with the medium mixture. But right now I just want to sort of have this turn, which is really good. Oh wow, yes, it is very good detail. And with this airbrush, Joe, it really feels like a micron. And you know, and I work on this airbrush about 6 hours a day, every day, almost 7 days a week, most of the time. And I'll tell you, this airbrush really does everything I want it to. And remember, I just did that video of a painting I did 4x6, and I did that all with this airbrush, which was really wild, you know. Oh, Monty has seen it. Great. Has seen Brad's painting. So you see right now, remember, upper right, lower left. See that? Upper right, light, lower left, shadow. It's deeper right here. But right now I'm just going to look for the large shapes. So right now we're looking at the forest, and we're not really getting too involved with the trees. We'll indicate a tree here and there, right? But most of the time, so here's our dark, right? And this is the part that's not getting any light. And right here there's like a little crevice, or you know, in between some muscle here, so a little bit darker there. And then right here comes a transition tone. As it slowly turns towards the light, it gets lighter. See that, guys? Slowly turns towards the light. Don't worry about the pencil lines. They will blend in later. So you don't have to do more work. That all will take care of itself. And I'm not worried about whether it looks like him. That's not even a concern right now. So once I get concerned about having it look like him, having it look like your model, what's going to happen is you're going to try and compensate and fix things, and you're going to get away from the program. So you don't want to get away from the program. You want to stick with the program as long as you can, okay? And I think that will be really, really, really good. So Monty was doing this one painting of a little girl, and it's really fantastic, Monty. I seen it on Facebook. He's doing really well. And one of the things that makes it really work is that Monty was staying light. So that really helped, that Monty was staying light. And that's what I'm doing now. I'm staying in the light mixture. Although I want to go in and get those really rich darks, I'm going to refrain. It's just not time. And what I'm going to do is just establish this dark over here. Remember, the whole of his head right now we're working on, right? So think of it as the moon and phases of the moon, you know? So he would be almost at like a, maybe like not a half moon, maybe 3/5 of a moon or something like that. So as you can see, not worried whatsoever. I can't believe I got this live stream going. I had to go in through this. Oh my God, I had to do it all manual because XSplit was having trouble. Wow, this was really rough, guys. But thank you so much. It really means a lot to me that you guys stuck it out and, you know, hung out. I mean, that's just amazing. You guys and girls are all amazing. I just want to let you know that. And I look forward to these Wednesdays so much. I mean, so much, you know. Oh, Monty, great job, sir. Really wonderful. So you guys have personal projects. You have my email address. Always feel free to contact me, you know, please. I'm very happy to help. Very happy to give any kind of direction, or maybe you guys are stuck in a certain area. I'm just an email away, and I'll get back to you. There we go. So you see, that's just working on this phase. the dark here. So here's where the darkest dark is, right here. See that? That's where the darkest dark's here. Now his head is turning towards the light, right? Turning towards the right, turning towards the left where the light source is. I have all nice little detail in there, but there's a time and place for that. So we'll get there, right? Patrick says, so very, oh, thank you so much, Patrick. I appreciate that. That's right. You can't stop Tim's live streams. That's true. It was close today. It was a close call today. It almost happened. There was almost like, I'm gonna go watch like TLC or something like that, you know? That's almost happened. Okay, so now since, I just, don't do that, guys. Don't stab yourself with the airbrush. Really is counterproductive. Good thing I didn't break the skin. And so I'm going to go ahead and continue turning. So you see here, it's turning ever more towards the light, but it's like it's not a dark value, it's sort of a mid-tone that comes over here. And then we'll hit this mid-tone right here and sort of bring this down. So now we really were very descript with that. So let's work on this side a little bit, sort of even the score. I think that would be really good. So what we're going to do is I'm going to make this area turn, which is his cheek, as it sort of comes out of the nostril area. It's a little darker here as it turns, and I want to make it go lighter, so all I'm going to do is as I move towards the light, I'm just going to increase my distance. You see that? As I move towards the light, I'm going to increase my distance of the airbrush. Let the airbrush do the work, right? It's like a calligrapher. They know how to manipulate the pen to do the work, but someone who's not a calligrapher has to draw it out manually. And that's what we become when we really learn the airbrush, that we start to understand what makes the airbrush work for us. And so always paint in 3 dimensions. Oh, happens every day. A pin cushion. Ouch, that hurts there, Steve. Yeah, Steve Leahy's amazing. Definitely, guys. So great. That's a great piece of advice. So Steve Leahy's live streams every Monday at 6 on Facebook. So become a friend with Steve Leahy, and then you'll get an alert. And he's just amazing. I learned so much from Steve's live streams every week. And definitely, Patrick, you will really enjoy them. He did a magenta David, Michelangelo's David, just the head, and he did a magenta one. What was really wonderful is that he was able to do it in one sitting. So I found that quite amazing, that he's able to do these amazing paintings in one sitting. And I love that about his work, that it's so fresh and it's so, all those years of his experience. I mean, he's one of the torchbearers of airbrush, really. When I say torchbearers, I mean when no one was airbrushing, he was airbrushing. And he was airbrushing at a super high level. So definitely, guys, check him out if you haven't. He's just, a lot of my technique over watching him over the last couple of weeks have even changed because of Steve Leahy's live streams. I mean, his work has influenced me. And that is, and anyone who's watched my live stream, you can see how I use the paper. And that definitely is coming from Steve, so And he's really giving during the live streams. He'll answer any questions. Just incredible. Just incredible. So thank you, Steve, for having those live streams and for being a torchbearer through all those years. I'm actually older than, I think I'm older than Steve. At least I look older than you, Steve. Is that true? Chris says, what are you trying to say, Tim? Steve is old? No, no way, Jose. He's younger. He's younger than me. But when I was off doing pastels and oil painting, Steve was doing airbrush, and that's what's really cool. And I think that's really neat, but not calling Mr. Leahy old. I don't want any enemies in Ohio. No enemies in Ohio. Lots of information here to do, so we're taking our time. But as you can see, we're just doing the big shapes first. That's all we care about, are the big shapes. The dinosaurs roamed the earth. Wow, that's a long time. For me, I would say I'm so old that the Brady Bunch was still in prime time. Think about that. Wow, that's old, guys, right? And Happy Days was prime time. And bread was 25 cents a loaf, you know. Hey, Tone, how's it going? Good to see ya. So great you made it, Tone. Tone's in the house. Very cool. Tone's doing some great work over there in Queens. And I'm just going to continue. So you see how we modeled the forms here. We have to model the forms on this side. Now right here, there's no edge here. It's very soft, super soft. And so we're just going to bring this down. Remember, more, if you want it darker, go closer. But go closer as you're moving along the surface. See that? That's when you're drawing and painting at the same time. Think about it. The airbrush is the one medium where you can draw and paint at the same time. See that? And then really super soft down here. Super hard right there. So this is a job for the cutout. Bum ba da bum. Alright, so remember we did this? Dun dun dun. Okay. So we're going to put this like so. See, this is what Mr. Leahy does a lot. And you see how you influence me? So if my career goes awry, it's all your fault, Steve. No pressure. So you see I'm going to create a hard line just like that. And you see that's the beauty of what Mr. Leahy does a lot. I mean, I used to use Frisket, but after watching Steve, this is a lot more effective. Of course, I have my own slant on it, but heavily influenced by Mr. Leahy. Mr. Leahy, I presume. So, oh, you work on the air. Very cool. And so we'll just pull this over here. So you see how we have this hard edge and then it softens up over here? Very important. Now let's, this is where we can use our freehand shield. And there's a dark as it goes to the triangle of his collar. And blame it on Flame the Moonshine. 1 second rule, guys. whatever, all your answers of painting is in that 1 second rule, okay? All your answers, the whole world is in that 1 second rule. You want to get more realistic? The 1 second rule. You want to get faster? The 1 second rule. I know that sounds, a little simplistic, but I'm telling you, it really is that 1 second rule. That is the wave. That's the way to do it. So this dark is going to come out right here, and it is basically a darkest dark, but we're not going to try and achieve the darkest dark with the light mixture. Some people say, well, Tim, why don't you just use the light mixture the whole time, because it's a transparent, and as you keep going over transparent, transparency over transparency gets dark. That's not the look you want. And if you use the mixtures, it's just going to look better as you build the medium mixture over the light mixture and the dark mixture over the medium mixture, rather than just build that up. Remember, we're working on paper, so when you're working on paper, you have a finite amount of moisture you can put on the paper. So you don't want to oversaturate the paper. But what I'm going to do right here is I'm going to get let's move Tim out of the way, right? Yay! Oh, your eyes can now rest, with me out of the way. So relative darkness, right? Relative value. And right here we can use our freehand shield, crawl along the surface. There we go. Just like that. And let's see here, everything looks good. I'm just looking at the comments. If I missed anything, if anyone asks a question, ask it again, and I'll probably miss it again. No, I mean, ask it again, and I will look for it a second time. I don't want ever to. What I do is a lot of times I'll look at my live stream after it's over, and I'll be like, oh my God, I just ignored that really nice person's question. It wasn't that I ignored it, it's just I didn't see it. So if I don't ask it, please ask it again, okay, if I don't answer it. And if you guys see I'm not answering someone's question, shout it out to me, guys, because I don't want to do that. It's important. You guys took the time out of your busy schedule to come hang out with me, and if I don't answer every question you have, that just stinks, So what can be the disadvantages to the Frisket? Great question. There are advantages to the Frisket, as Mr. Leahy would say, would agree, is that with Frisket you get the most beautiful hard edges that you've ever seen, right? Clean and just marvelous. However, with the Frisket comes its price, right? And its price is that Frisket has a tendency to do two things: leave some glue on the surface, and sometimes it'll leave a lot of glue, and also it could tear the paper. Also, when you're cutting straight onto your surface, if you're cutting onto paper or illustration board, that's going to come back to haunt you. In one way or another, it will come back to haunt you. So those are two things that I think are important considerations when using the Frisket. Let me lower the saturation. It's too much. Okay, good. I think I got rid of that kind of warm sheen that was there. Where do babies come from? I think they come from Milwaukee, if I'm not mistaken. Is that true, Milwaukee? I'm not sure. You guys could answer that for me. Now the lips are very soft edge, so I'm not gonna go ahead and deal with the freehand shield, because they're really quite soft up here as far as the values are concerned. Over here, remember I want this to be dark over here. I'm pumping that trigger. So those of you who are fairly new to airbrushing, you keep your air down and then you pump the trigger back and forth. That gives you control and really helps you to maintain your aim. If you're starting and stopping, your aim is going to be like kind of suspect. But if you have the air down all the time and you're pumping that trigger, you're going to know exactly where that air is going. You know what I mean? And you're going to know exactly where that ink is going. So it really is a great help in, all around. And let's see, so, Brad says he already knows, very cool. And Joe says, Tim, can you talk about the Canson paper you're working on? Doesn't it seem to have a rag contact? Seems almost smooth. It does. What I love about is 300-pound paper. It's really thick, if you can hear it. Almost sounds like a piece of cardboard. And the great thing about this, you have two sides. You have a little rougher side, and then you have a smoother side. But the smooth side really is not smooth. So why this paper? So let's say if you worked with Bristol, it wouldn't soak it in. But this paper has just enough tooth that it soaks it in. And when it soaks in, it really grabs it and really gives you a nice value. It doesn't sit on the surface. It takes a little bit for this stuff to actually give you some spidering. So not only that, but it erases marvelously. Look at that. Just really erases wonderfully. And I love that fact that it does erase. And that makes life easy. So it's the best of both worlds. It absorbs and it erases at the same time. I've tried many papers, many papers. And I tried board and everything like that. And this, guys, this is the cream of the crop. It really is the best. So highly recommend it. And I know you guys are, if you haven't tried it, I know, Joe, I shipped some out to you today. So you should be getting that shortly. So very cool. And hey, Mike, good to see you. How are you, my friend? And let's see, Mike S says, Tim, what if you pre-cut the Frisket over a second or third painting of the reference image? It will weaken the tackiness. That's very true. Very good suggestion. There are a lot of suggestions and good ways and techniques like yours. And that's why, more experienced artists really have a better time with that. Not that I'm not experienced, I am. But, I've had my techniques where I'll put it on my arm or put it on the refrigerator, remove tack. But for someone starting out, I don't recommend it, because a lot of times that will really just create a lot of headaches for the artist. So I like what Steve does a lot, where he uses the paper, and I think that's really fantastic. So I hope that answered your question on the paper. So yeah, I really love that paper a lot. Let's see if I go like this. We're going to work on the side plane of his head here. So that's very important. So let's see. I'm going to move Mr. Wonderful over here. There we go. And we're going to work on the side plane of the head. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my freehand shield to maintain the fact that the ear is getting a lot more light than the side plane of his face. Because remember, the side plane of his face is not directly hitting the light. The light's hitting this plane, but as it goes down to the side, it's getting more shadow. Okay, so that's why that's happening. So being a light detective, you don't just want to go ahead and say, I'm going to reproduce that value. It's just not good enough. It's half the story. I want to understand this side plane going down and away from the light. Now you have this plane over here of the cheek. It comes out right over here, and then we're getting some light here. And then this side plane extends all the way over to here. 1 second rule, guys. That's going to keep my head in the game. I'm not thinking about likeness. I'm not thinking about Mr. O'Leary. All I'm thinking about is the light. What's that light doing? Now all of a sudden, I'm not even trying. Mr. O'Leary is starting to make an appearance here. Remember, Monty, you want to keep it super light, super light, okay? And you see, if I go too light, I can always calm that down. And just like that, you see this side plane. And we maintained that beautiful lightness of light of the ear, right? And we'll deal with that in a moment. And we'll just continue this. So there's the dark of the hair here. We're just going to hit that. Let's see any questions. And after seeing Steve's live stream, I got a gold mask and decided to give the Frisket a try perfectly. And Steve's show is always 6 o'clock on Monday on Facebook, Tone. Definitely check it out. You'll love it. And I think you've seen his shows before, definitely. And Mike says, Brad, just keeping and watching YouTube videos, taking care of Mom. Oh, I'm glad you're doing well there, sir. And oh, and Chris also bought that gold masking, which is good. Very cool. And that's how we learn about different things, you know, when we share live streams and you guys share with me. That's that give and take, in which I love this airbrush community. And this little community we have here too. I really love it. And it spills over from, like, my channel and Steve's channel. A lot of the people spill over into both channels, which is great. And we have a very similar approach to live stream, which I think is refreshing. You know, Steve's very easygoing and, you know, just a lot of fun, his live streams. He's just so laid back and informal, and I'm very much the same way. Just gonna calm this pencil line down a little bit. There we go. And we'll get back there. Side plane here. Remember the side plane here? Side plane there. A lot of times when you see in the portrait that the values are the same, a lot of times they're facing the light at the same angle. Think about that. They're facing the light at the same angle in different parts of the face or the body. And that is an indication that it has that similarity. And so that will really help when looking at different. So if you see that this is an angle on the side, then this angle should be very similar. Not always, but definitely. Now we see we are starting to get the shape of his nose here, and then right here in the mouth we have this dark over here. Everything's going to be darker. We're just doing relative value right now. More gradation, further distance from the surface, okay? Further distance from the surface. Patty, good to see you. How are you? So glad you made it. All right, Patty. So that's cool. Patty, today's live stream almost didn't happen. XSplit, my broadcasting software, they had trouble with YouTube Live, and they're working with it. Oh my God, it was so scary. But everyone hung around. I thought that was just amazing. Everyone just hung around. So I'm going to get the overall shape of Mr. Wonderful's eyebrow there. And there we go. So you see how he's developing, slowly but surely. I'm in no rush. And look how I can get, you know, these really wonderful smoothness of the trigger here. And so I can just increase my distance and just get that, which is just really nice, you know. And let's see. There we go. Now, we have the dark of this lip here because remember, if the light's coming from the upper right, the lower left is going to get shadow. And you see right here. We're going to build up that dark real slow. If I have a little detail here, I'm going to increase or decrease my distance. I don't care if it looks like him at this point. Not a concern of mine. And if it is a concern of mine, I will make sure I stop myself in my tracks. It's not important. Not as important as making his head three-dimensional in the lighting situation that was at the moment they took a photograph of him. Ooh, so now I'm going to take my knock eraser and we're going to shape this a little bit here. 1 second rule, especially when you're erasing, not just airbrushing. 1 second rule at all times. That's too light right there, the corner of his eye. I'm going to calm that down. The white of the eyes are very rarely white, guys. Very rarely white. You know, it's like the people who decided the white of the eyes, you know? I mean, when is it really white, honestly, right? You know? Oh, Patty got tied up for work. Bummer. My guess is, Tim, he's not. I kept waiting for the live stream for hours last night. I came back to the channel 4 times before realizing, oh man, that happens. Some days I'm not sure what day it is myself. I thought it was Tuesday all day, Mike. Don't worry about that. I'm the same, especially with the lockdown, you know. I don't get to see people like I used to. And it's just very weird life right now, isn't it, guys? You know, but we deal with it, right? We're dealing with it. Ah, thank you, Patty. That's wonderful. That's so cool. You guys are great. Thanks, Patty. Just like that. Just now. We have a lot to do, so what I ask myself, where am I ignoring, right? So that's what you're always going to ask yourself throughout the thing, what am I ignoring? Because you're always going to be bringing something forward, and then other areas start to lack detail with as a whole, so you always want to look and find out where you may be lacking attention. So I would say his ear. So let's look at Mr. Wonderful's ear here. His ear here. Not the ear there, but the ear here. That was not good. Okay, so we're going to zoom out a little bit. We're going to move over. Okay, so now it's very soft edge, so I'm really not going to worry about the freehand shield here, okay? I'm going to fix this edge here like that. I want you to practice your aim. Please practice your aim. I do it every day. You know, I do a lot of dots, circles, stuff like that. And your aim is only going to get better with repetition. But with the right technique, you know, for practice. But that's the thing, it's the aim, and Steve, I'm sure you'll agree, is that aim is one of the most important things, especially coming from someone who works small like Steve does. And aim, I find, is real crucial. And aim only comes with time. We're going to soften that edge a little bit, and same thing here. is interesting. There's a dark line right on the edge next to that ear. And it comes up here like that. And it's not white, so we're definitely going to turn it down a notch, right? We're going to turn down that light and make it darker. And the ear actually creates a border next to the hair. Or I should say the hair is creating that border. And then it sort of comes in together just like that. A lot of detail to be done, but we have time, so we're in no rush to get it. We're just going to look for the relative detail and calm down some of these values, which seem to be a little on the light side. We just have to calm it down, put a little bit of detail. So I can't go too far with this, because if I do, it's going to throw everything else off. Just as you're going slowly dark, you also want to go slowly more detailed. So when I zoom out, you'll see, okay, so now it looks pretty good. We have a little bit of a dark halo around here. Maybe we could just bring that back in line a little bit like that. That's fine. We can do that. It's all about balance. It's all about balance, Daniel-san. So that's coming back, Cobra Kai, I think January 11th or something like that. Those Karate Kid fans, which is really cool. And there I go with the age thing. And let's see. So, okay, you see this little bit of flesh right here? That's a dark, so let's go ahead and calm that down. Here we can definitely use a freehand shield. Perpendicular and not parallel. We're going to crawl along the surface, wipe it off as we go. You're just going to hit some of these areas, one little area at a time. And let's look at the whole of the reference of the photo, making sure that I'm not putting in information that's not there. 1 second rule keeps me in the game, right? Keeps me from thinking about what I'm going to get at the supermarket tomorrow, or, you know, the girl at the checkout counter. And so keeps me in the game. So always make sure that the 1 second rule is always in effect. There we go. And then this is dark over here, right? Because this right here is super dark, this part of the collar. Oh, Willie has to go to sleep. Okay, no problem, my friend. Thank you so much for sticking around. I really appreciate that, Willie. That was really fantastic, even though in the live stream didn't come up right away. So really appreciate that. I'll send you an email soon. Maybe tonight, and I'll let you know more about that airbrush, about the custom airbrush that I'm doing right now. So that would be great. And so what we'll do is, now I could work on the detail. So I'll show you what this airbrush can do. You know, this real like dark slit right there in between his teeth. I can pretty much nail that just like if I had a micron. And see how beautiful that is, the detail that you can get. So really great. A little bit more detail in his lip right there. We may adjust that. And if I squint my eyes, the values between the dark and the light area, now relative light, is a lot more close. The values are more closer to one another. See that? And so that's why I'm getting almost like the large moon or the planet, like if his head was a planet and the sun was coming in this direction, that large sort of light, that's what we're really working on. The effect of the light on the large forms. So you see how it has to be dark over here as it goes towards the light side, light facing part, right? So you see how we have to lighten this up over here because it's facing the light, and as this turns it gets darker and darker because it more and more it faces the other direction, or faces away from the light. This value right here is a lot closer to the dark, so I'm just going to calm that down. And what's happening is it's actually falling within the realm of the large, so all the details are going to fall within the realm of the forest. So that's why we're working on the forest first and then the trees. So, and then even after the forest, I'm going to go scratch my back. I have a back scratcher. I'll be right back. Don't try this at home. Don't try this at home. And when you live alone, this is the only way you're going to get your back scratched. Okay, that was done. All right. So look, you learned how to work in India ink and work to do the portrait, and then how to scratch your back when you live alone. So it's just so much information in these live streams. It's just so unbelievable, right? So as you see, we're working on the whole. So right here, there's some detail as the cheek sort of goes under this muscle here, kind of goes under a little bit, sort of like a wave, right? And when it waves under, you get less light. And then right here in the center, the shape of the muscles in his forehead. Now remember, the forehead is not a panel, right? It's not like a metal panel that's smooth. There's muscles and all kinds of things in there. And so that's so important to understand that you have to paint the 3 dimensions of the forehead. Otherwise, I see a lot of people, and I did this in the early going, do all the detail in the face, and the forehead has very little detail because it's the forehead, but it just hurts the portrait in the long run. So remember, as this turns, this side plane's going to be darker, right? And I'm asking myself, is that dark as this side plane? No, because this side plane is going under as well. So we do have a side plane in his forehead. So notice I'm just going to do the same thing, but I'm going to be further from the paper. The airbrush is further from the paper. So it's no magic or anything like that. It's just learning to paint in 3 dimensions, meaning, use your distance as a tool for the airbrush. It's one of the best tools that the airbrush has. So you see now we're starting to get, so you see it's going to be cropped here. So all this up here, ignore, because it looks like kind of has a fez on or something. But right here is where we're going to crop it. And what you see right now, we do have the shape of the forehead and the muscles and everything going on there. And then we have some creases, and we'll do that together, but in its time, right? Oh, so Joe says, can't see the reference. Is it 1-to-1? Okay, the reference, yes, so basically the reference is just like this. So as you can see here, I'm going to crop it right there. So I think I hope that helps. Joe, I'm not sure if I answered your question, but if I didn't, let me know. And let's see here. And Mike S. says he had problems in his country. Uh-oh. Oh, okay, I'm not too sure about that. I love my Canadian friends. I plan on going to Canada as soon as they let me in, right? So let's see here. We're just going to continue pulling this up like that. And side plane of the nose, right? So right here in the nose, can you see the reference now? Maybe I can make it a little bit bigger for you. How's that? Is that better? I hope. I'll just put it right there for you. Hopefully that will help. And we'll just move this over there. And then while we're doing that, we'll just move that, do more detail. Oh, good, good. Oh, fantastic, Patrick and Joe. I'm glad we were able to help you there. I might make it a little bit smaller a bit later. Okay, so remember, we want to establish the whole painting. We don't want to have any areas that are, that don't have anything there, because that white is going. My teacher always said, cover the surface as quick as possible. That's one of the things he said, that we really have to cover the surface as quick as possible. So what I want to do is I want to cover this shirt here, and I basically can do it this way, but I think if I use the cutout, we might have a better time at it. Let's see. Let's see if we can do this. Let's do this. Okay, so what I want to do is I want to cut out this area. Let me darken it a bit. I want to cut out this area, and this is all kind of fuzzy. I just want to cut out this area. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to move Mr. Wonderful aside here. And I want that nice hard edge. It's a really beautiful hard edge, and if I just go ahead and paint it with the freehand shield, I might dirty that up, and I don't want to do that, because even then, if I come in with the pastel. Was that fan making a rumbling sound? If it was, I am so sorry. I didn't even realize it was still on. Okay, so we're going to get my trusty blade, and here we go. Let's make this happen. Let's do this. So, guys, if you haven't out there, if you haven't subscribed, go ahead and hit that subscribe button for me. I'm trying to get to 4,000 subscribers ASAP, just for my own goals. And hit the like button if you can. If you got a moment, that would be great. Thank you, guys. And as you can see, remember that whole thing, if you look ahead of your blade, your hand sort of follows. Isn't that interesting? Bam! Okay. The sound effects, you don't have to do that, guys. It doesn't help in the cutting. I'm just going to pull this up. Here we go. Here we go. So I want to thank right now Badger for being such a great friend, Ken for being such a great supporter of this channel. One of the great things about working with Badger, guys, is that they're really great people. And they stand behind their product, and they are, one of the things that Ken is, he's really dedicated to keeping the prices down. And, like I said, the Extreme Patriot Arrow and the Vega, they're at fractions of the cost of other brands, which I'm not going to downplay other brands, but I'm talking about how great Badger is. Just fantastic. Yes, right. Everall, right? He was like, turn it up a notch, right, Mike? So Everett was great. He is still great. I just don't get to see him. He was really, really big, you know, as far as popularity. What was it, like in the late 90s, Mike? Was that when he was big? Last I seen, he did a commercial for a casino here in Pennsylvania. I thought that was weird. Yeah. Definitely got to be careful, right? With this blade here. Sound effects, yes. Sound effects are definitely, you know, when I'm by myself, I do sound effects. I know that's weird, but who said I was normal? I never said that. That didn't come out of my mouth, guys. And I want to, like, here is the, right here. Let me show you guys. So, see this? This is the Felix Unger and me coming out. And I put that in the trash receptacle. And we're gonna come back out. So isn't that interesting, you know? I'm turning over a new leaf. Now I do have this side camera. Let's see if I can bring that side camera up. With the, you know, I just love technology when it works, right? When it works, that's the key word, isn't it? So this is the 922. Let me bring up the 930. So over here, devices, video, the 920. Bam, there we go. So here is this other one, so you can see a different angle of me cutting, right? So over here. And okay, so now is the tape, right guys? So you'll see here I have the tape. And I'm gonna keep it face up. And I'm gonna put the tape here. And like I say, when you're painting, take your time, you know, don't rush these things. And Patty says, excellent customer service from Ken and his staff. Oh, you did get a tour? Oh, because you're out there in Chicago. Wow, isn't Ken great? He's just fantastic, really is. And Chris says he already knew that one. That's so cool. And, oh yeah, so Everett has commercials for the oven. That's pretty neat. That's very cool. And, oh, so that's so cool. So yeah, I got to get over to Chicago and hang out with Ken. So we're planning on doing a live stream together for you guys with Ken. So hopefully we could get that going soon. We just gotta, you know, with COVID-19 and everything is much more difficult to get going, right? Whoops. So right here, let me get Tim's head out of the way. Over here. And we'll put this smaller over there. We don't have the chat window today because of the issues. Okay, so look, three angles. This is amazing. This is unheard of in the world of live, not really. But, you know, it's pretty cool to have 3 angles. So I hope you guys enjoy them. And let's see. All right. So you see I almost had a little memory lapse. That happens, right? That happens, guys. Let me make sure. Really, I'm just worrying about this side. This side I can live with any kind of weirdness. All right, so now I'm just going to come in with the light mixture. I'm just going to pull this down and very lightly to see if I have it, right? So if I don't have it, then I have to adjust. So let's see if Tim has to adjust. Bam! We got it, guys. All right. And let's see this side. And we'll try both. And yeah, what could go wrong, right? That's what they say. Define normal. Well, I know the antithesis of normal. I think that's pretty much me, Patty. I'm normal. I'm just colorful, I guess. Let's see what we got here, Patty. Let's see. Not bad. So let's go in. So you know what I was thinking of doing? So I have some art movies that I like. And I'd like to set up a day where I would do a live stream where we're all watching the movie. And we could sort of have like an art movie day. And we can pretty much just have fun and talk about the movie and stuff. What do you guys think of that? Is that a little out there? You know? Oh, 2 weeks? Oh, wow. I really hope this COVID-19 just leaves your body real soon there, Wendy. I'm so sorry you're not feeling well. That makes me sad. Okay, remember we got to save the table. Look, those are that's what I did today, all those crazy exercises. So we're never too advanced to exercise. And so Mike says, Tim, you need 2 live stream windows to make your views work. You need to talk. Oh yes, definitely. I'll definitely work on that there, Mike. Definitely. Okay, so we're just going to pull this down. And what I'm doing is I'm establishing the dark, and I'm going to save this. Just take that down. And we're just going to, remember I'm going in this direction. I don't want to go in this direction because if I go in this direction, the air is going to crawl underneath and I'm going to have like a double vision thing. So we're always going away from the edge, okay? That's going to help, away from the edge. And this is just to establish, because remember, you want to cover the paper ASAP, right? So let's see. Monty says, that will be great as I never have a formal training whatsoever. Oh, fantastic. Oh, great. Joe said, oh, yes, like Mystery Science Theater 3000. Exactly. I love that show. That was some of the funniest things, wasn't that? That was just so amazing. So as you can see, I just established it, and I'm going to make it lighter. And so it's just establishing and kind of protecting that collar. And then I can come over here, and I could darken this, work on this edge. And then at least we have a mapping out, right? And we can come back a little bit later. Let me move me over here, out of the way. There I am. And we'll move Mr. Wonderful over there. Okay, so, wow, it's 11:16. That's fast. So let's see here. Well, Wendy says, oh, yeah, I hope you feel better. And so cool. Okay, and let's continue over here. So I just established that hard edge, and now I can just come over here. Once that hard edge is established, it's there forever. It's hard to get rid of it, right? And so right now everything's kind of sketchy, and that's what we want. We want sketchy. We don't want everything all neat and tidy right now. Tidy is not for now. It's later. So that's something we're going to continue to work on. Mike says, Tim, this would be a great time to use your and tape to hold down that. Oh, hold it tighter. Yes, definitely. Definitely. There's a little dark indentation right here. Just going to put that there. So, and then we have other planes to work on. So really it's going to be cropped right about here. And you'll see we'll come darker over here later. But at least we covered it up. That's what's important. And then right here on the cheeks here, so a little bit darker as we go right here. Just a little bit. There we go. Now we're looking at this portrait and we're saying to ourselves, where can we put more detail? And I would say right here, we can definitely put more detail. So let's go ahead, and also right here. So if we look at the cheek here, I mean the chin, we can see that there's a slight indentation right here. And then it's slightly darker as we make this turned away from the light. And then up here, as this little indentation starts, it's slightly darker. And the 1 second rule is going to keep me honest, right? And then I can see also right here that I made this dark line a little strong. So let's calm that down together and soften that up together. And we can even use the aggressive eraser to soften things up a little bit, just like so. And just continue to fill in these voids of emptiness right here, right? Kind of doesn't have anything going on, but there's a lot going on in those lights. So since we're in with the light mixture, we can definitely work on that very much so, you know. And just pumping that trigger, and we're just looking for the light effects, right? We're not really caring about any detail, we're just looking for the light effects. This is turning away from the light, so there's a light effect here. That's all I'm caring about. This could be anybody right now. This could be just a mannequin right now, because right now I'm just looking for the light effects. That's all I'm interested in. So right here, you ask yourself, when you see a dark, is the dark on the inside or the outside of the form? So here, the dark is on the inside of the form, right? So that's why you want to make sure you have your freehand shield and you go perpendicular and not parallel. On the inside of the form is where that shadow is, right here, or whatever that dark line. See that? It only works when you do that, when you really have to really verbalize to yourself in your mind what's happening there. And that's the only way you're going to get a likeness. But thinking about a likeness, it's not going to happen, guys. There we go. So little by little, Mr. Wonderful is making an appearance here. And we're not in any hurry, you know. And let's see, Mike says he has to fight them on ham radio. Oh, I see, interrupt conversations. Oh boy. And let's see, Chris says, Brad trying to be a bad influence on Steve. And Patty says, Tim, I like the different views. Oh, great. I'm glad. I'm glad the different views helps. And yeah, because it's important, right, Patty, to see the different angles and how I hold the brush and stuff like that. That's really, I think, is key, especially when I have my classes, is I really go into, like, okay, so not only are you watching, you know, how I paint, but also how I hold the brush, the airbrush, how I pull back the trigger. So that's really cool. The different angles can really help speed up the learning process for you guys. Doesn't seem like you get much tip dry at all. None whatsoever. And that's the beauty of the inks, because the inks are acrylic. It starts out, it wants to dry on the surface, but the inks will stay wet because they're mostly water. Actually, when I say mostly water, I mean mostly water with a little bit of ink and some other ingredients I put in there. And I also have another ingredient I put in there that actually keeps it from tip drying as well. So that's a great question. And Brad says, we Americans own everything. I own nothing. I own this airbrush, and I own some really good mixtapes from 1988, but that's it. Not this American. Oh boy. Well, I know some Americans own stuff. I don't even know those guys. Used to work for them. Boy, they treated me like garbage in corporate America, but you know, I didn't belong there. And it took me to a ripe old age to realize I didn't belong there, and I belong doing stuff like this, you know, working on my art. So now it's the time where I just start moving around and just start putting in detail here and there. And now, since we mapped out the whole thing, right, we have the whole head sort of done. Now we can go back to the eyes and start doing some nice detail again. Let's blow that up, shall we? Let's do that. And let's see. It's the beauty of working with a DSLR, a digital single lens reflex camera. So there we go. We have the eye again. And let's once more go a little bit more detailed this time. Notice I don't stay in the same area. So people ask me, how do you stop spidering? Think of it on a rainy day. And if on a rainy day, you see when the ground is very dry, the ground soaks up the rain and you don't see many splashing. However, when the ground gets saturated or when it rains really fast, what happens is the ground can't take in any more water. So then you start seeing splashes and puddles. So this is no spidering. See how I'm moving around? See how I don't stay in that same area? I come back. This is spidering, staying in the same area. Everything else is the same, but eventually, see that? Eventually it's going to happen. Now it has nothing to do with the other things as much as oversaturating the surface. Now we're working with a really forgiving surface here, but let's say even working with Bristol, you go there, you put some air, some tone, you let it dry, you come back. You don't want to oversaturate. So I hope that helps, not getting spidering in the future, because that really helps me once I thought of that metaphor or analogy. Monty needs to get ready for work. All right, Monty, thanks so much. See you soon, and let me know when your inks get there. If not, we'll definitely go ahead and take care of you. I'll definitely make sure we work it out where we get the inks and everything to you, and maybe we'll just split the shipping for the second order, but I'll send all the product out to you for no charge, okay? Now, let me know if that arrives, because it's really important for me. I don't care if I have to send it out again. I want you to have it, So that's cool. Okay, so as you see here, we're just going to continue working on the eye here. And it's nice and dark here. There we go, on the inside of the eye. And then this is nice and dark. But you see how the aim, you don't even need a freehand shield half the time. If your aim is good and you have a good airbrush that's humming, right? And you can get good detail, I say you don't even need a freehand shield. So that's cool. So Brad says, great feed. It's really coming along nicely. He's going to say goodnight to all. Have a chance and take care, Brad. I'll see you soon. And always great to hang out with you. Thank you for sticking it out with me, my friend. That was really great, you guys. So I don't even know. It's 11:27. Wow. I know we didn't get the full live stream today, but thank you so much for being so cool. Like I said, if you're interested, let me know, and I'll send you an email about the custom airbrush, okay? And, and how much it is, and all that, and the perks and everything. So let me know if you want that email. I'll send it out to you. Like I said, this is just like working with a micron. So right over here, and a fraction of the cost, and let's see, and okay, cool, and let's come over here. We'll work on this eye. Remember, what we do on one eye, we have to do on the other eye. So we're at 11:28. Now the value of the white of the eye is so close. I mean, so close to the value of the dark of the eye. So you see that? That's really close, guys. Almost the same value. And then over here. So you see, if you have the right airbrush and your right aim, you don't need a freehand shield. Just like that. And we'll bring this over here. Just like that. Hey John, good to see you. John, I got your order and I'm all ready. I'm going to ship that out tonight and I will talk to you tomorrow. So good to talk to you, John. And Chris and everybody, thank you so much. We are at 11:29. I always go to 11:29, so I'm just going to paint right up to 11:29 for you guys. Thanks, Joe. First time hanging out. Thank you, Wendy. I hope you feel better. I pray you feel better. Prayers going out to you for your speedy recovery and for your mom. Okay, so 11:30. So, Chris, take care of yourself, everybody. Thank you so much. We did it. Let's see how Mr. Wonderful is looking. There we go. See how dark? Remember, the eyes are always going to be darker first, and then we go dark, and when we go down. So that's always going to go in that succession. So like I said, we're not worried about the likeness. We're just worried about the light. Likeness comes later. So, and Joe, I appreciate that. My guest, John, everybody, Wendy, you guys are all fantastic. My guests, and Tone, Brad, Raul, you know, those who haven't spoken, you don't have to speak. If you're out there, I appreciate you. Those who are watching this after it's recorded, I appreciate you guys too. Take good care, and I will see you during the week, and I definitely will see you next week without technical difficulties. So take care, everybody.